Hey guys, it's Tim. I wanted to give you guys some insights on some different types of exit strategies on commercial real estate. And I think a lot of people think, oh, I buy commercial real estate and I just hold on to it forever and ever and ever, and then I let it pay off, and then I own it free and clear. And that's an amazing strategy, right? That's how you really build legacy wealth. You buy an asset, you put, you make so much value in that asset that other people are willing to pay you to live in that asset, and they pay your operating expenses every single year. They pay your debt service every single year. They put cash flow in your pocket every year, and eventually that property's paid off and it's still cash flowing, and there's a ton of value there. I love that. But there's a lot of different exit strategies, right? And so I want to kind of hit on a few bullet points here and talk to you guys through some of those bullet points. So number one is wholesaling. Just like you can wholesale houses, you can wholesale commercial real estate. You can wholesale an apartment building. You can contract that apartment building. It's assumed that contracts are assignable. Why? Because you typically contract a property in some sort of name. Maybe it's your operating entity's name. But when you get financing on on a commercial property, the bank always requires you to create a new LLC and put the property into a new LLC. So it's already assumed that the contract's going to be assignable to put it into that new LLC. So it's very easy to contract a property and make it assignable. Depending on the state and the municipality, sometimes you don't even need to put up any sort of earnest money. And if you're working directly with a seller, it's very easy to have that conversation. Say, hey, let me contract it, and whether you're going to buy it, I think honesty is always the best policy. So you let them know, hey, it's not the right deal for me, but I know the right person who's going to execute on this thing. So if I can contract it at $800,000, which is what you're looking for, Miss Seller, then I'll bring in a buyer. I'll keep whatever I can make above that. I'll make sure that they pay me. Okay, hey, that sounds fair. Then you can go and shop that around, but you got to be direct to seller, right? And you got to either be totally honest with the seller and let them know that you're planning on assigning the contract, or just put an option on the contract where you have the option to buy it, but they're not expecting you to actually close on it. So either just shoot straight, right? Honesty is always the best policy in this stuff. So, and there's a lot of different moving targets in wholesaling apartments than there is in a lot of different variables in wholesaling apartments versus wholesaling single family houses. I typically I typically wholesale stuff under $1 million because usually the buyers can come in with cash and buy properties with cash versus having to get financing and extend out the closing and all that kind of stuff. So wholesaling is a great option. You can move a lot of properties and make a lot of money. Now you're not talking about a $5,000 to $15,000 wholesale fee. Now you're talking about something that could be in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars in a wholesale fee. It's very, very realistic in commercial real estate. Another one would be flipping real estate. So I used to buy apartment buildings, fix them all up, stabilize them, put good management in place, and then I'd flip it in 12, 18 months, and I'd make a great pop on it, and then I'd do it like a 1031 exchange and roll it into another apartment building and keep on trading up into bigger and bigger and bigger deals. You can make a lot of money. The problem with that is it's transactional, kind of like wholesaling. You get paid once, you got to go do it again. Now it's a big payday. It could be, again, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, to make a lot of money. So you can flip property and make a bunch of money in flipping it, but it's taxed at whatever your earned income tax bracket is if you sell it in less than 12 months, or if you flip it in over 12 months. What's nice is that it's tax advantage now. Now it's taxed at long-term capital gains instead of short-term capital gains. So there are benefits in that regard as well. And you can do, again, 1031 exchange and roll it into something bigger, nicer, better, whatever that looks like. You can let it cash flow, right? Like what I was talking about before. So depending on your traditional financing that you put in place, you can let it cash flow with traditional financing, which is typically a bank, or agency loan, which is like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, CMBS, which is commercial mortgage-backed securities, or even a life insurance company, or any sort of investment fund that might lend you the money, and you can just let this thing cash flow. And that's a great way of doing it. Financing has been kind of turned on its head over the past 6 months with COVID-19 happening. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're doing a lot of creative financing. We're getting sellers to seller finance the property to us. And that way it's a non-recourse loan right out of the gate. I don't have to get bridge financing. That is recourse. I'm personally guaranteeing that. I can get the seller to finance and hold paper on it. So that's a benefit. You can do an installment contract where you control the property. And it's kind of like a car loan where you don't actually get title or you get the deed once you pay it all off, and once you pay off the seller, so the seller's secured, but you're secured with controlling interest in that property, and you can do everything that you want to do and getting it stabilized and getting the rents bumped up, so that way you can then turn around and refinance it into agency debt, non-recourse debt right then. So that's a good way, and that's something that we're doing right now. You can also do like a master lease with an option to buy it. So if you have like a Airbnb type model or a corporate housing type model, you can go in, sign a lease to rent the entire, let's call it a 40-unit apartment building. Rent the entire building. You have some tenants on a month, annual rent, and then you can bring in other tenants on a nightly rent or a monthly rent and charge a premium that. And this is more of like a cash flow play where you can arbitrage rents. So you're promising, $700 a month per unit to the seller or to the owner of the property, and you master lease it at $700 a month in rent. If you can get people at $750 a month and they're on an annual rent, you're making a $50 arbitrage every single month on that. If you have corporate housing, maybe you can get $900 a month, or maybe even more, $1,200 a month. You furnish it, you got to pay for the furnishings, but then you're making an extra $500 a month in rent. And typically the furnishings will cost you $3,000. You're making that all back in 6 months, and there's a play there, right? Airbnb, typically you can get 2.5 to 3 times as much in Airbnb rent. Be careful there though, because obviously Airbnb's got spun on its head over the past 6 months or so because of COVID-19. But if you're in a hot location, there's still people looking to travel and still people looking to, travel for work or pleasure, and they could be interested in renting your spot. And so instead of getting, you might be able to get $100 a night instead of $700 a month in rent. You might be able to get $80, $90, $100 a month, or $100 per night in rent. And think about that. That makes you $2,500 a month instead of $700 a month. So there's a play there. You might not have total occupancy, even if you could rent it out half the month. You're making $1,500 or $1,800 a month in rent on an Airbnb model versus a monthly rental rate. So there's a lot of different plays there where you can do a lease option. The other thing is you can go get traditional financing and ask the seller to carry back the down payment. There's a play there too, where now you're out of pocket no money. We're doing a lot of that right now. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there. I think there's still great deals out there. I know there's still great deals because we're looking at a bunch of them right now, and we're looking to take down a bunch of big properties at really low prices. They need some work, right? They need some up improvements, but there's motivated sellers in every single market. There's still people looking to retire. There's still people inheriting properties right now. There's still people who are facing some sort of disaster in their personal life where it's more important that they get the property off their plate versus getting top dollar for the property. And you can come in and offer that solution to them, and guess what? You get a great deal out of it, and the seller gets exactly what they want. It creates a win-win situation for everybody. So there's a lot of different exit strategies. Understand this stuff, know this stuff, study it, get prepared today so that way you can take advantage of all these opportunities that are going to be coming down the pipeline when the next economic downturn occurs, right? Now's the time to start building your balance sheet. Now's the time to start building your resume, start building your portfolio, building your basis of knowledge and all of the different resources that come with that, so that way you can capitalize when the time comes. So I hope that's helpful for you guys.